Afternoon. I will be talking about capacity development approaches in GEO Blue Planet and also across the broader ocean observing community. So I'm Sophie Seeyave. I'm the CEO of the Partnership for Observation of the Global Ocean, which is one of the participating organizations in GEO. And I'm also one of the three co-chairs of the GEO Blue Planet initiative. So there are two working groups within GEO Blue Planet that are relevant to this session. The first one is specifically called the Capacity Development Working Group. And one of the outputs from this working group has been the publication of a paper on challenges for global ocean observation, the need for increased human capacity, which was published as part of a GEO Blue Planet special issue. And it was co-led by Goose, another participating organisation in GEO, and POGO. And I'd also like to highlight a couple of initiatives from the community that are relevant here. One of them is the Ocean Best Practices initiative, which is currently conducting a survey of capacity development related to ocean best practices. And the other is a prospectus that is being developed as part of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, which kicks off next year. And this is trying to outline the capacity development needs in terms of human resources, infrastructure, and the science policy interface, with the ultimate goal of coordinating existing initiatives and obtaining and coordinating funding in a centralized way for new initiatives to address the gaps. So the second working group is on stakeholder engagement and societal awareness. And the work of this group has been conducted partly through a series of stakeholder engagement workshops, which are focused mainly on small island developing states. And these have been really to evaluate the information requirements and how these requirements can be met by existing data and information products, but also to identify and address gaps where such products and information aren't readily available. So Ocean Communicators United is a contributor to this working group, and it's a grouping of science communication experts from a number of international, regional, as well as national oceanographic organizations. And it provides a forum for its members to share information, expertise, and best practices related to science communication through a series of webinars on specific topics related to ocean science communication, and also through publication of best practices such as the one shown here, which was on writing a communication strategy. This group has also been asked by the UN Decade leadership to contribute to the communication strategy for the decade and to the communication efforts of the decade. So Blue Planet has produced several brochures highlighting the societal benefits of ocean and coastal observations, and has also contributed to a white paper on the role of stakeholders in creating societal value from coastal and ocean observations. And we have also been asked to contribute to a GIS-based web catalogue of case studies on the socio-economic benefits of ocean and coastal observations and forecasts and so on. And this is being funded by US IUS. We also work very much on the co-development of decision support tools, which I'll come back to a bit later on in the presentation. So another product from GEO Blue Planet in terms of societal awareness has been the creation of a web portal which seeks to clarify this complex, what we call oceanscape of ocean and coastal organizations and all the acronyms that go with them, and really tries to identify the relationships between these organizations and also where relationships don't exist and new ones could be created. So in terms of the broader scope of GEO Blue Planet, we're working on this value cycle from the identification of information needs through to the development of decision support tools to inform knowledge and inform decision makers. So what we often find is that data providers expect the users to have very specific and clear requirements in terms of their data needs, in terms of the geographical coverage, resolution, and also data visualization. But in fact, the reality is that users very often don't know specifically what they require. They just know what decisions they need to make, and they want to know from us if ocean observations and data can help them. So some of the questions that we often get from these stakeholder workshops are things like, how accurate are the satellite products in their region? Where can they find data? Which products should they use? And how can they download and use these data? So we're very much following the GEO Knowledge Hub concept in terms of developing knowledge hubs for ocean information. And we've started with a pilot one for sargassum, which is a seaweed that accumulates and often gathers on beaches, and there's a particular problem for countries in the Caribbean in terms of the impact on their tourism. And we're also developing concepts for knowledge hubs for fisheries and for SDG Target 14.1. This is just a screenshot of the sargassum information hub that's currently being developed. And on the SDG front, Blue Planet has been contributing and working very closely with UN Environment to help with the methodologies for the eutrophication part of SDG Indicator 14.1.1, and contributed to this publication of a global manual on ocean statistics, which actually led to that indicator being upgraded from Tier 3 to Tier 2. We've also been asked by UN Environment to contribute and to lead the publication of an inventory of existing marine litter databases, and the development of a concept for a global monitoring platform for marine litter. And this is in the final stages of publication, and the concept is already being taken up by IBM to develop such a platform, focusing initially on citizen science data on marine litter. So some of the decision support tools that are being developed by GEO Blue Planet in partnership with other organizations, some of which are shown on the bottom here. So one is to develop an oil spill monitoring service for the wider Caribbean. And this will provide publicly available monitoring and forecasting system for oil spills. And we'll also have a training component for regional satellite analysts who will be responsible for performing the oil spill surveillance. And a specific user, which is a regional action center in the Caribbean, has already been identified as the primary user of this service. And so this is obviously being very much co-developed with this particular user. And AmeriGeo will host the oil spill information toolkit for this service. So finally, just another example of a decision support tool being developed is this WaveForce. It's designed to address the issue that forecasts for sandy shorelines aren't applicable to reef-lined coasts, and so this service is being developed for wave-driven flood forecasting of reef-lined coasts, and it's a partnership between NOAA, STAR, USGS, and Deltares under the auspices of GEO Blue Planet. I think this is my final slide, so thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions in writing or during the symposium. Thank you.